Hello, today I want to talk about how I would learn to code in 2026 if I was starting from scratch. Now, I may call it building instead of coding, and I know that's a bit of a hot take, but hear me out. I've been building software for over the past 10 years, and over the past 6 months, I've done a lot of building, but very little coding. And that shift from coding to building is what this video is about today. Now, this isn't me saying AI is going to do it all for you. There's still a real skill here, but the skill has fundamentally shifted. And if you're starting out today, you do not need to follow the traditional path. And I'm going to break down exactly how I would do it differently. I'm going to break this down into what I call the 3 pillars. The first pillar is version control. The second pillar being building something. And the third pillar being deploying something so that it's out into the world and people can access it. By the end of this video, you have a clear path on how to go from knowing nothing to building something and shipping it out so that the world can see it. I'm Samir Marin. If you're new to my channel, I did not start coding until I was 24 after I had finished a civil engineering degree and had worked in the field for over a year, and then I decided I wanted to learn how to build software. So I took the traditional path and I went back to school to study computer science and got myself a second bachelor's. And that worked just fine. I learned to code, I learned to build. I've been working in the industry for the past 10 years now. Today, I work as a consultant and I help build and manage different systems with over 40 services running in all sorts of environments. I'm also currently working on developing a software product for civil engineering, and I'm heavily using AI to do this. But long story short, it took me 10 years to get to the point where I felt confident enough to go out and build things on my own, deploy it on my own. And today I want to give you a path on how to get there much faster. You do not need 10 years. The truth is you probably never needed 10 years, but today it's even easier to get to a point where you feel confident enough to build something than it ever was. And this is all because of AI. The skills needed to build software have fundamentally changed, and it is my belief anyone who wants to build software can learn to do so, and it no longer requires learning how to code first. So let me get started on how I would approach learning to build in 2026. So the old path was you learn to code and then you could eventually learn to build something on your own, normally after working at a company for a number of years and whatnot. Today, that's very different because the truth is AI can do a lot of the coding for you now. This is not me telling you that AI can just go out and build your product, no problem. That is not the case. There is a big difference between coding and building out a system that works and functions out in the real world. So this is not a shortcut where AI will just build out your software for you and you can just sit back and watch. That is not the case. This video is about giving you a path forward on how you can learn to build software by leveraging AI. And because of AI, the path to get from knowing nothing to building software has become much shorter. So let's get started. So the first pillar, version control. This is the first thing I would learn. And I would learn Git and GitHub because these are the most common version control tools used in the world today. Version control is how code is managed, tracked, and saved over time. And even though you may not be writing much code yourself, you still need to understand how that code that is being written is going to be saved, versioned, and managed. And fundamentally, version control becomes a huge part of the deploy process. So if you don't understand version control, you're essentially going to be stuck at building software locally. So pillar number 1, learn version control. How would I do it? Personally, I would use AI. I would spin up Claude Code because you could jump straight to the terminal and Claude Code could give you directions on different commands to run to understand version control and to use version control. And I think it would be the easiest path forward to getting started with version control. But you could use practically any AI you want to direct you on the process of learning version control. I'm sure all of them will be able to give you the instructions necessary to understand the fundamentals of version control. The second pillar is building something. Now, I know this sounds scary, but I'm telling you, with AI, it is not that scary to at least get started. Now, I'm not telling you that you're gonna build an amazing piece of software from the start, but the only way to understand how software fits together is by building. This has always been the case, but we've cut the time to get there by a lot, because before you had to learn how to code before you could even imagine building something. Now you can build something with the assistance of AI without having to learn to code. So the time it takes to get from knowing nothing to building something has fundamentally changed. Now, putting that all together is still a skill that needs to be learned, but to learn that skill, you first have to build something. So what would I do? Once again, I would use Claude Code. I would go into Claude Code and I would tell it, hey, I'm new to coding, I've never built anything, I want to build my first project. This is the idea I had. If you are really brand new, I would suggest doing something very simple, such as a landing page. A landing page is probably the easiest piece of software, if you want to call software, you could build and deploy. And today, building a landing page with AI is very possible. So if you really don't know what you're doing whatsoever, you don't know where to start, what you can do is you could grab your resume, tell AI, this is my resume, I want to build a landing page based off my resume, can you help me out? And AI will give you guidance, it will probably spit out some code for you and give you an idea on where to put it. Once you have learned version control, that will become a lot easier to understand, but the point is, get something built so that you start to get the skills of building. Now, building a landing page is not going to give you the skills to build any piece of software, not even close, but it's going to get you started, and that's the point. Start simple and then expand. And if you've never done anything, a landing page is a great place to start. Utilize the AI and build out your landing page. Get it to run locally. And then that gets you to the third pillar, which is deploy it. Deploying it is getting it out into the world so that someone can go to a URL and see what you have deployed. And that's the third pillar. So once again, I would use AI. Personally, Claude Code is the tool I would recommend, but any AI tool today can help you deploy. The nice thing about Claude Code is it lives in the terminal and can run commands for you, so it makes things much simpler, but any AI tool can get you from zero to deploy by giving you the instructions necessary to get something deployed. Now, once you've done this successfully, you've gone through pillar 1, learn version control. Pillar 2, you build something and you can run it locally. By locally, I mean on your machine. And pillar 3, you deployed something out into the world so that somebody could see it. You've essentially built your first piece of software. You've gone from nothing all the way up to someone can go to a URL and see what I have built. And the most important thing in this process is trying to understand each of those pieces as best you can. Now, you're not going to understand everything. There's going to be questions after you've done this. You're going to have probably more questions than answers. But to be honest, that's always been the truth when it comes to building software. Even me, I've been building software for 10 years, and there's still a lot of things I don't know. Whenever I build something out and deploy it, I still have tons of questions about specifics, and that's probably going to be the case for you. But try for that not to get in the way. The most important thing you can do is get through all the 3 pillars. Get that thing that you built out into the internet, and then go back and repeat the process. Get better at version control. Get more sophisticated with it. Build something that's more sophisticated, not just a simple landing page. Maybe now you're gonna build a to-do list and you're gonna start touching a back end and a front end. Maybe they're concepts you don't know yet, but get curious, explore, ask questions, explore the internet, and then build something a little more sophisticated, and then learn how those pieces work together. And then deploy that. Now, deploying something that has more pieces is going to be more complicated. It's going to have different requirements when it comes to deploying it, so you'll learn more of what it takes to build. But that is the way to go about it. And in today's age, you have the advantage because you no longer have to learn the coding syntax, though you still have to learn the skill of how to build software. And it's not an easy skill to learn, but it is a skill that I believe anyone can learn. It's just very different from how it used to be 10 years ago. And that is how I would personally approach learning how to code in 2026. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy my content, you can check out more of it over here, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.